Good evening. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Toya Singh. Now, on this show, we aim to break down the day's top stories by trying to keep an eye on the facts and the facts alone. Our first focus for the day is the Parliament, where the day started by a targeted set of comments from the Prime Minister about the opposition alliance's INDIA title. Now, the opposition has responded by keeping their guns trained. They're arguing that this is the BJP's way of skirting the topic of focus, the continued conflict in Manipur that's gone on for almost 3 months, resulting in the loss of more than 130 lives. Now, the 26 parties of the opposition alliance continue to say that they want the Prime Minister himself to give a statement on the situation. The same thing they were asking for yesterday. But it seems now that they've seemingly hit upon a solution, passing a motion of no confidence so that the Prime Minister is forced to sit in the Parliament to attend and watch. But as this hangama continues, we want to focus on a single question. In the Parliament, has this showdown overshadowed the Manipur crisis? Let's take a quick look. First, at what it is that the Prime Minister had to say today. These comments were made, the ones we're about to share with you, were made in the BJP parliamentary meeting. These were in the Monsoon session's first meeting between the Prime Minister and the BJP parliamentarians. This is what the Prime Minister had to say. First, he said, just by using the name INDIA, he's of course talking about the opposition alliance here, he said that doesn't mean anything. Now, the opposition has hit back at that. They've said, as we just told you, that the Prime Minister is trying to divert attention from the issue of Manipur. Now, the Prime Minister in his set of comments actually went further. This next comment, the one I'm about to share with you, is the one that caused controversy through the day, drew reactions from both the Congress, other opposition parties and the BJP. The Prime Minister said the word India is also found in the phrase Indian Mujahideen and in the PFI, Popular Front of India, seemingly drawing a link of some sorts. The opposition has hit back immediately. They've said that the NDA means the National Defamation Alliance. So then back and forth going on the names. The Prime Minister's further charge, along the same lines as the attack we've just described for you a little while earlier, taking that question of India and where you find the word India, he said the word India could also be found in the East India Company's title. He said both East India Company and the Congress were formed by Britishers. So making a remark that we've heard the BJP make before. The opposition's hit back. They've said that this statement proves that the Prime Minister and the rest of the BJP are getting desperate. They're hoping through these attacks to remove attention from the key issue of Manipur. Now, the last one, Prime Minister Modi's charge here that he's never seen, and this is his words, that he's never seen such directionless opposition. The opposition's hit back and said, we challenge the Prime Minister to come to discuss the issue of Manipur, to let us know what it is that the government has done in the state of Manipur. Now, this is what's taken place so far. These are the set of comments that have gone back and forth. We want to just for a second, before we go over to our guests, tell you now about this new strategy that we saw emerge today among different opposition party leaders. This is what sources have told our channel. The opposition is mulling a no confidence motion, as we told you already. And this motion will be moved particularly in the Lok Sabha during this session, during the monsoon session, which, remember, is the shortest of the sessions that take place in the Parliament. So there is limited time. Now, the strategy of the Rajya Sabha will be figured out, but the aim of this move in the Lok Sabha is that the hope is that it will pressurize the Prime Minister to speak on the Manipur issue. Remember, it's important to realize the opposition knows it doesn't have the numbers to see this motion through. The opposition is in a minority over here. The BJP and the BJP's numbers cover the opposition's numbers in the Lok Sabha at least. But the opposition knows that. The BJP has directed its MPs to avoid absenteeism. Remember, the opposition's hope, the Prime Minister will enter the Parliament. Now, let's take a look at what we're debating today. Here's the information and here's the context. The Sansad Showdown. Is it undermining the real issue? What's going on in Manipur? That's our story. Let's take a quick look.
इंडियन नाम भी बहुत विचित्र संयोग है। ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी, इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस, ये दो अंग्रेजों ने बनाए थे।
आप मेरे को बस पौने घंटे
बाकी इंडियन मुजाहिदीन भी नाम रखते हैं, पॉपुलर फ्रंट ऑफ इंडिया भी रखते हैं, जो बैन हो गया।
Wanted to dethrone Modi ji without any reason, but people are after Modi ji. So, and your Rahul Gandhi, in the name of Bharat Jodo Yatra, he now mingles with the people who are now bent upon to destroy the unity of the country.
देखिए, हम मोदी साहब को सदन में आके मणिपुर पे आप आके स्थिति पे बोलिए, हम इंसिस्ट कर रहे हैं। लेकिन वो अपने पार्टी में ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी की बात करते हैं। अरे भाई, मणिपुर पे बात करो। ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी का अगर बात करना है, उसमें कौन किस किस की पात्र क्या है, नाम बदलने से कुछ नहीं होता।
Mr. Modi and the BJP. This is Parliament. Come here. We are waiting for the last 4 days for you to speak on Manipur. Come and speak. Your choice. Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. We'll welcome you. Open the debate. We know you're on the back foot after the Patna summit, after the Bengaluru summit. India. जीतेगा भारत।
You're watching Plain Speak, and we've just over the last few minutes told you the context for what we want to discuss tonight. Our first panelist, the first person we're going to speak to, is the Congress MP, Karthi Chidambaram. Now, we told you a little while earlier about the motion that the Congress and other opposition parties hope to have passed in the Lok Sabha. This is, of course, the no confidence motion, and the hope is that the Prime Minister will have to enter the Parliament. But I took this question, and I want to take this question now to Karthi too. Karthi, thank you for joining us. Karthi, I want to ask you, tell us, how will this motion help address the Manipur issue? What is the plan here?
See, I'm not sure whether that's the decision our collective of parties have taken, and I'm not privy to it. But the point is, we want to force the Prime Minister to come to the House. We want the Prime Minister to respect the institution of Parliament. We want the Prime Minister to use the floor of the House for him to say what he has to say and for us to react to that. Perhaps if that is the line of thinking of our alliance, that will force the Prime Minister to come and reply. Perhaps this is perhaps a last resort on our part. But as I said, I'm not privy to that decision if that's the course of action we are taking.
Okay. So the question that a number of media outlets have wanted to understand is what is going to be the opposition strategy in the Parliament going forward? The monsoon session has quite a few days left. It's going to go on till about halfway in August. What's the plan going forward?
See, I'm not the leadership of my party. I'm definitely not the leadership of our alliance. So I really can't speak for my party and my alliance in that capacity. But our position is very clear. The Prime Minister must come to the floor of the House and make a statement about the status of affairs in Manipur and what his government is doing to bring the situation back to normal. After which we can have a detailed discussion where every political party will participate. The Prime Minister is a member of the House. He must respect Parliament. He must come, especially when Parliament is in session, he must take the House into confidence. We are in a parliamentary democracy, not in a presidential form of government where the President makes an occasional visit to address the Parliament and goes away, like in America when they come and address the State of the Union address when the joint session is held. Here, Prime Minister is a member of the House. He must participate in parliamentary proceedings. He must answer questions posed to him. He must participate in debate. And he must make statements on the floor of the House. This is our position at the moment. What we will do if the government does not relent, is something only the leadership of my party and the leadership of our alliance can take.
Okay. So I now want to take to you a question that was perhaps the biggest question to emerge out of the session yesterday. There was a disagreement. On one side, you had the BJP saying, let's do a short discussion. And on the other side, you had opposition members saying, let's suspend the business of the day. Let's have a longer discussion. The seriousness of Manipur deserves it. Now, at the same time, sir, a number of BJP leaders asked, why can't opposition parties agree, have a shorter discussion, allow that shorter discussion to start, then we'll see. So to that, what is your reply?
The shorter discussion, the shorter discussion is for a very limited time. It will simply not behove the gravity of the crisis which Manipur is facing for us all to articulate our points of view within that very specific time. It's only about 30 minutes or 45 minutes. The multiple political parties will hardly get any time to articulate a view, and that's unacceptable. What is happening in Manipur, one must understand, is unprecedented. This is ethnic violence which is happening there. And if this spirals out of control, it's probably out of control even now, if it spirals out of control and spills over to the neighboring areas of the northeast, it will be catastrophic. I mean, we have had examples of Hutu and Tutsi in the world. We don't want those kind of things to be repeated in our country.
Okay, but sir, I want to press a little harder here and almost ask you that question again. The BJP leaders that we've spoken to so far are saying, start with the shorter discussion. And the tricky thing here is that when they're saying, at least let this issue be discussed, the opposition is preventing the topic from being discussed at all. To that, sir, how is the opposition going to reply?
Why don't we start with the Prime Minister making a suo motu statement?
Okay. All right. So I want to ask you, the Prime Minister took a jibe at the opposition alliance today in the morning, where he said in a statement that the word India, he was obviously making a reference to the name of the opposition alliance, the 26 parties that came together in Bengaluru. They're called INDIA. And he said that INDIA, India, is also something you find in the title of the East India Company. That was founded by foreign nationals, as was the Congress. He's also made statements about the PFI. Sir, how is the Congress responding to this? How are you responding to this?
This is rather an obtuse attitude of the Prime. This is rather an obtuse attitude by the Prime Minister of India. I'm very disappointed that he has decided to diss us for choosing a name India for our alliance. Obviously, there are elements which use the name India for purposes which might not be very kosher with our national security, but does not mean that you diss the name of India completely. Anyway, anagrams and slogans don't win elections. It's actually the substance which will win elections. People of India will decide whether they want a secular, democratic, constitutionally driven government or a divisive government, what the India is offering. Let us leave it to the people of India. But this kind of churlish, obtuse criticism for our naming our alliance India is completely uncalled for. But it also shows that the Prime Minister is paying attention to us. And it also shows that it's perhaps touching a raw nerve. So it's obviously working that we have got his attention, which is a good thing. And I'm sure we will grab the attention of the people of India, who will clearly see the contrast between what we are offering and what the NDA has been delivering for the last 9 years.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you for joining us. Okay, to take a deeper dive into this entire topic, I'm now going to introduce the 4 guests that we have with us for the discussion. On one side, you have the spokesperson for the BJP, Tuhin Sinha. We have JB Mathur from the Rajya Sabha, he's an MP for the Congress. We have Siddharth Sharma, a spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party. And we have B.S. Arun, a senior journalist. Good evening, sirs and ma'am. I'd like to thank you for joining us here and having this conversation with us. All right, I'm going to take our first question to the BJP. Let's go over to Tuhin Sinha. Sir, thank you for joining us. Sir, I want to understand from you this question, sir. The opposition response to what the Prime Minister had to say today has been united. Their response has been A, that the Prime Minister is not addressing the issue of importance. He's trying to distract by focus on INDIA. And they're saying that once again they're using distraction tactics. Sir, to this, what does the BJP have to say?
Well, good evening, Toya. Good evening, everybody. The important point that the Honorable Prime Minister was trying to make was that your deeds don't change with a change in name. And the deeds of this conglomeration, this grotesque conglomeration of 26 parties which have got together are very well known. You know, look at the ruckus they are creating on the Manipur issue. The reason for this ruckus is they want discussion only under Rule 267, which means suspension of all other business for the day. On the other hand, Honorable Home Minister has very emphatically said that he's open to discussion in any form on all aspects. In fact, he has reached out to both the leaders of both houses of opposition leaders of both houses of parliament with a written letter. But what they essentially want to do is stall all proceedings of the parliament like they did on the previous session. You would be happy to know that amidst all this chaos, and a very important bill was passed today in the Rajya Sabha, the Constitution Order, Fifth Amendment Bill, which includes a few more tribes under the ST. So essentially the point is that, while we are prepared for discussion in any form, the opposition wants to hold the entire house hostage on some pretext or the other. Now, when you talk about their plan of bringing the no confidence motion, again, they know that the no confidence motion will be defeated. It will not pass through. So why do they want to bring it? Because essentially they want to evade and avoid a discussion on Manipur. When it comes to Rajasthan, why hasn't Rahul Gandhi even condemned the abhorrent incident of 4 people from a family having been burnt and killed? 50 people have lost their lives in Bengal. So, like I said, we are open to discussion in any form. Manipur has a legacy of ethnic violence. I don't want to get into that, but there are multiple aspects involved, and we are happy to discuss all of them.
Okay. Mr. Sinha, I'm going to just ask you one more question, and then I'm going to go over to the rest of our guests, because I want to come to you once again with something that a number of Congress leaders have said. A, that by bringing up other states, those that are ruled by opposition leaders, this is a distraction tactic. So to that, what does the BJP have to say?
It's very amusing for the opposition to level these charges. I will take you 5 years back in 2009 January, when a very important discussion on the Rafale was taking place, when the then Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was speaking. What was Rahul Gandhi doing? He was making paper planes. He was winking throughout the discussion. So this opposition, unfortunately, lacks gravitas. It does not have the seriousness to either comprehend issues like Manipur or to discuss it threadbare in a responsible manner. And that is why they make all kinds of excuses time and again.
Okay. Mr. Sinha, if I could ask you to wait. Let's go over now to JB Mathur, who's with us. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. You are a Rajya Sabha member. You're, of course, a Congress MP. And so, ma'am, I want to ask you more about the opposition's strategy. We've told our audiences that there is now the possibility of a no-confidence motion in the Lok Sabha. Ma'am, I want to understand, we know that the Prime Minister may be forced to attend if that does take place, but I want to understand here, ma'am, what is the opposition's short-term strategy here? The Parliament has a number of days left. What's the strategy for the rest of the days? Is the hope that they're going to continue to keep stuck on the Manipur issue, to continue to focus on it? What happens when other opposition parties want to raise different issues?
There are ordinary situations and there can be extraordinary situations.
Correct.
There is not an iota of doubt in anybody's mind that Manipur issue is an extraordinary situation. When there is extraordinary situation, that requires extraordinary measures. That is why opposition has been, 26 parties has been saying in one voice that we want the Prime Minister to make the statement in the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and followed by a detailed discussion. And secondly, what we are witnessing in Manipur is the direct result of a directionless double-engine sarkar in Manipur and also at the center. They still have no clue, absolutely no clue about how to contain the violence. Who is not being attacked in Manipur? Whether it's young, old, women, children, army, ministers, every single person is being attacked in Manipur. And still the chief minister, or neither the chief minister of Manipur, neither the union government, they have no clue how to contain it. When that is the situation, what is the remedy? What is the remedy? What is the solution? The solution opposition is asking is, we should have a detailed deliberation and discussion, and Prime Minister is answerable to the country. He has all the time to go to Australia, to go to US Congress, to go to France. But why is the Prime Minister of our country running away from Parliament? He should come and take the members of the Parliament into confidence. He should take the Indian citizens into confidence. He should be the one who should be telling what is the strategy. But very, very unfortunately, Prime Minister is maintaining a deafening silence, and we want to make it clear that opposition is moving in a very focused manner. Taking today's example, 50 of them MPs gave 267 notice in Rajya Sabha seeking for discussion on Manipur. But whereas what happened? There was absolutely no discussion about Manipur. Instead, they started taking all other issues. So who is condemning? Who is not taking Manipur not seriously? Opposition is taking it very seriously, but the ruling dispensation wants to run away from it. As far as opposition is concerned, we have clear strategy. We have been raising it both inside and outside Parliament. Our MP who is suspended is continuing to sit in protest outside the Parliament in front of Gandhi statue, and we all together sitting with him. India Alliance is a very strong and bold voice, and that is why it scares, it is bringing jitters and shivers to the Prime Minister of the country. That is why instead of coming to the Parliament and answering on Manipur, he is trying to make stories about Indian Alliance,
JB, I'm going to ask you to wait with us because I want to now speak to another Alliance member just to understand more perspective when it comes to the INDIA. We have with us Siddharth Sharma from the Aam Aadmi Party. Sir, thank you for joining us this evening. Sir, your party's case is a particularly interesting one because when we talk about the opposition alliance and we talk about this possible problem that might emerge, that there are different parties that are a part of the alliance, and for some of these parties there are particularly important issues on the agenda that will come into Parliament. We are talking about the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi ordinance that is of such importance to the Aam Aadmi Party and their priorities. So I just want to understand, what is the Aam Aadmi Party's plan? We know that Manipur is of utmost importance for all the parties that are involved in the INDIA. But when this issue is going to be discussed, what is the Aam Aadmi Party's plan?
Yeah, Toya, when you say what Aam Aadmi Party's stand is, you're speaking about strategy. But democracy also essentially means that transparency has to come from the government side. Now, most of India is, as we all know, we are all cricket fans. In cricket, you cannot have a captain who is not ready to come out for a toss, a captain who says that I won't play cricket, I won't play a match, but I will come at the last of the match to lift the cup. That is not how cricket happens. We need a Dhoni who in the finals of the World Cup promotes himself and bats when the going gets tough. If the Prime Minister of India has time to inaugurate Vande Bharat trains in faraway places like Vijayawada, he also has time to initiate a debate on Manipur in the Parliament. I'm not getting into the legalese, section 267 of the Business Advisory Committee, etc. I'm trying to tell it as simply as possible. Today, what has happened in Manipur, essentially, the Prime Minister today has a choice. Lord over women's humiliation in Manipur, like Dhritarashtra did in Mahabharata, or follow the tenets of Munshi Premchand's Panch Parmeshwar, which says that bigaad ke dar se iman to nahi chodoge. I think that is the call the Prime Minister of India has to take. Manipur is part of India. Today, the happenings in Manipur, the way women have been disrobed, has become a talk of the global media as well as global governments. United Kingdom Parliament discusses about it, France discusses about it, United States of America discusses about it. We don't want this ignominy. I think the Prime Minister should avoid this ignominy, avoid history calling him as a Dhritarashtra, under whose chairmanship or under whose lauding women were humiliated and disrobed, and rather show the statesmanship that he claims himself to be. India wants to become a Vishwaguru, then you have to act like a Vishwaguru. And I think that is the crux of the matter. Manipur has to be discussed in the Parliament of India, not because Manipur is BJP ruled, not because India is being ruled by BJP, not because of any other reason, but because of the simple reason that women have been humiliated publicly, disrobed publicly, and in this nation, Mahabharata is a shining example or an ignominious example where these things are absolutely not acceptable. The people in high offices, be it Bhishma or Drona or even Dhritarashtra, cannot lord over women being humiliated in their kingdoms. That is not how India operates.
Mr. Sharma,
I think the Prime Minister will
can
make a wise choice.
Can I just ask you to wait for a second? I now want to take our fourth panelist up to get their comment too. B.S. Arun is with us. He is a senior journalist. Sir, thank you for waiting. So I want to ask you, we've heard right now from the BJP, the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party. And if I were to step away from today's conversation and summarize the feeling of each of what these leaders have said, each party seems to be emphasizing the immense importance of Manipur. And yet when you actually take a look at what's happened in Parliament, no conversation, no discussion has taken place yet. Now, sir, what I want to ask you is, a number of experts say no actual discussion will take place. A number of experts are quite pessimistic. They say that the opposition is going to continue to demand a discussion, and at the same time, the BJP is going to get work done. Sir, do you agree with that analysis? Do you have a different perspective of how this will possibly play out?
First of all, now Parliament has been going on for a few days.
Yeah.
There should have been some give and take from both sides, from the treasury benches as well as from the opposition. They should have come across the table, held talks as to under what rule or how the discussion should take place. Manipur, is an important issue for the entire country, not just for the Northeast. So there should have been, some compromise on how to go about this. Now, we all know that opposition is not going to let it go. This Parliament session itself is an opportunity for the opposition to take on the government. At the same time, this also presented the Prime Minister to, with an opportunity to come before the country and, talk about his sense of the issue that has, taken over in Manipur. This was a good opportunity. And now tomorrow the no confidence motion issue will come before Lok Sabha. Now, the catch here is, this under Rule 198, it provides 10 days for the Speaker to decide. He might say tomorrow that if at all he takes it up, he might say that, it will come after 10 days, and the last day also. So there is going to be a gap. So I don't know how this turns out in Lok Sabha, whereas at the same time, we can see the ruckus continue in the Rajya Sabhas. Even now, I think the time is not lost for both the sides to sort of reach an agreement on how to take up this issue. I think nothing is impossible.
Mr. Arun, having heard what it is that the BJP, the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party have to say, hearing them dig their heels in, what do you think that compromise could be?
Compromise could be under one of the rules. See, 267 in Rajya Sabha, I think it's a reply by the government, not necessarily by the Prime Minister. Whereas in the no confidence motion, it has to be, replied by the Prime Minister. And there is a catch for the government to, respond. So that has to be taken up. We have to see what the Speaker will do. In my understanding, once the, a team of MPs, 50 plus, gives a, notice, it has to be taken up. But when it should be taken up is left to the Speaker. So, that is why the time might elapse by then. The importance that we have today may not be there after 10 days. Whereas in Rajya Sabha, the government is going to reply if the if the opposition, convinces the government to give a reply by the Prime Minister, that would be good. But I don't know whether that will happen. Whereas in the meantime, the chaos that we are seeing, I think, will continue. It's very difficult at the moment for both the sides to come to an understanding.
Okay, we saw that over the last few minutes. Tuhin Sharma, thank you for joining us. JB Mathur and Siddharth Sharma, BS Arun, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking out the time.